In the sprawling city of Vathar, where crystalline towers pierced the violet skies, Erina walked among the throngs of alien citizens with a confidence that unnerved even the bravest of beings. She was a seer, trained from birth to detect fear in any living creature. Fear was a language she spoke fluently. It shimmered in the nervous pulse of a gore, flickered in the antennae of a KRYLL, and even whispered in the subtlest vibrations of sentient plants. To her, the world was a symphony of terror, and she was its keenest listener. Yet, something unexpected pierced her senses that morning. Among the crowds moving along the gleaming streets, she noticed a human, a rare visitor from the distant planet Earth, walking with an ease that defied every instinct she had cultivated. He was unremarkable by appearance, average in height, with chestnut hair and brown eyes, wearing a simple uniform that seemed to barely fit the Vatharian standard. But there was something about him that caused a strange dissonance in her perception. She could detect fear in everything around him, in every sentient being, but not in him. Not even a flicker. Erina's curiosity was immediate and insistent. She had been trained to act on these instincts, and now her mind refused to let him pass unnoticed. She quickened her pace, keeping him within sight without drawing attention. The human moved calmly, almost as if the city itself posed no threat, while the citizens around him shuffled nervously, their anxiety spilling into the streets in subtle, imperceptible waves. Finally, she allowed herself to approach. "You are unusual," she said in the common tongue, the universal language of the galaxy, careful to keep her tone neutral. The human turned. His gaze met hers with an unwavering steadiness, a look that was neither arrogant nor dismissive. "I get that a lot," he said with a small, self-deprecating smile. "I suppose that's normal for humans." Erina's eyes narrowed. His words were casual, but there was no tremor in his voice, no underlying tension. She had encountered humans before. They were known for their unpredictability, but none had ever moved through Vathar without betraying some trace of fear. She felt compelled to probe further. "What brings you here?" she asked, though part of her already sensed that the usual motivations, fear, ambition, desperation, did not apply. "I'm here to learn," he replied simply. "And to observe. Nothing more." Erina studied him carefully. She could feel fear everywhere around them. The merchants anxious about inspections, the patrol drones scanning for threats, even the air itself seemed taut with tension. Yet this human moved like water through the current, untouched. For the first time, she felt a flicker of something else. Intrigue, maybe, or a spark of challenge. "You are immune to fear?" she asked, almost involuntarily. "I wouldn't say immune," he replied. "I just understand it differently. Fear exists, but it doesn't control me. I decide my response." Erina blinked. No one had ever spoken of fear like that. Usually, fear-dominated creatures twisted their actions, forced them to obey unseen masters. This human, however, treated it like a puzzle, something to be observed, understood, and, if necessary, overcome. Over the following weeks, Erina found herself repeatedly crossing paths with him. He navigated the city's dangers with the same calm resolve, evading pickpockets, negotiating with volatile traders, and even standing unflinching in the midst of a minor riot. Every time, the crowd's terror surged, the ambient anxiety thickened, and yet he remained a center of stillness, a human unbowed by forces that had broken the strongest Vatharians. Curiosity became obsession. Erina began to shadow him constantly, testing him in subtle ways. She orchestrated small dangers, loose walkways, aggressive creatures, even staged threats from other seers, but each time, he met the situation with composure, never panicked, never faltered. Finally, Unable to restrain herself, she confronted him. "Why?" she demanded, her violet eyes flashing. "Why do you not fear what terrifies all others?" He looked at her, calm and unshaken. "Because I have no reason to. Fear is only useful if it protects me, but it also blinds me. I've learned to see danger and act, not to be consumed by it." Erina's mind raced. This was unlike anything she had encountered. Even her own training, her own mastery of sensing fear, was insufficient to comprehend him fully. It was as if the human existed outside her usual understanding of living beings, a puzzle she could feel but not solve. Then came the day that proved it. A rogue Veilstrin beast, a creature whose gaze alone could paralyze a Vaetherian with terror, escaped from the central containment district. The city erupted in chaos as citizens fled in a tidal wave of panic. Erina herself felt the overwhelming surge of fear, a sensation she had never imagined would shake even her. And yet the human walked calmly into the path of the beast. He moved with precision, each step deliberate. He did not scream, nor did he hesitate. The creature lunged, its jaws snapping inches from his face, but he sidestepped effortlessly, using a combination of human reflexes and observation to subdue it without injury. Erina watched in awe. Every being in the vicinity trembled, some fainted outright, yet he emerged unscathed. She realized then what she had sensed all along. Humans, in their simplicity and complexity, possessed a strength beyond fear. They could face terror directly, not because they were fearless, but because they could choose to act in spite of it. When the streets calmed and the city's anxiety slowly ebbed, Erina approached him again. This time, there was no questioning in her voice, only acknowledgement. "You are extraordinary," she said softly. He smiled, modestly. "I'm just human." For the first time, Erina understood the true essence of fear and courage. It was not the absence of fear that defined strength, but the mastery of it, the refusal to let it dominate. She had spent her life sensing terror in all beings, yet the greatest lesson had come from a human who moved through fear like it were nothing more than air. From that day forward, Erina no longer sought fear in him. Instead, she learned from him, following his example and gradually teaching others that courage was not the absence of fear, but the choice to rise above it. In a galaxy ruled by anxiety and uncertainty, one human had shown that true strength lay in the mastery of the mind, and that realization changed not only Erina, but all who came to witness it. And in the vast expanse of the stars, she finally accepted a truth she could never have predicted. Fear could be felt, but courage could be human.